Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is directed by Steven Spielberg, written by George Lucas, and stars Harrison Ford, Cate Blanchett, and Shia La Beouf. Sorry, I took a little bit of a break from my Indiana Jones series. I sort of did some other things with like Ted Lasso and some other stuff like this trailer reaction, but we're back, and we're doing Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. In 1957, Indiana Jones becomes entangled in a Soviet plot to uncover the secret behind mysterious artifacts known as the Crystal Skulls. And I'm gonna flat out say it, obviously, this is the worst of the original of the franchise so far. I don't know how Dial of Destiny is gonna do, but it obviously is the worst one. Now, you know, it starts out on an opening scene that you don't have faith in it. You're like, after the first scene, I'm like, okay, this is the worst of the original franchise, and it's just missing something. I really don't know what it is, but I can just sense it, and everyone can sense it. Watch the opening scene, and I'm just watching it, and I'm just like, this is really missing something, because it's missing the vibes, the adventure vibes of the Indiana Jones movies. And then there's so many scenes that miss they just don't have the scale or the grandness. And then there's other scenes that just they don't fit in this franchise. It's so much CGI, so much green screen, and that CGI and green screen is bad. But then you look at some of these scenes and they're boring. People are talking, and it used to be interesting combining John Williams' score, and here the score is still good, but it's not nearly as good as the original or as it was originally. Now, I actually think the score is great. I think it's great, but it doesn't have, the movie doesn't have its own score. It sort of has the normal Indiana Jones score that just plays all the time, and that score is amazing, obviously, but the first three movies had their own distinct score, and here, it just feels like they were like, okay, let's take that score and just like put in a bunch of scenes that want that score. But in the original trilogy, you know, you had these scenes where people were explaining things. It was exposition, but done right. And, you know, they were talking about, you know, what has to happen and what is happening. And, you know, everything you need to know about the movie. And the score combined with those scenes worked extremely well. And here, it doesn't work. It's really, really, really boring and bland. And it's not interesting like it was in the first three movies. And the story is not interesting. It's a boring story. It's a bad story that has many scenes that don't make any sense.
So I made a decision, and it was wrong. It was a bad call, Ripley.
I mean, there's a scene where he's just like in a fridge, and there's a nuclear explosion, and then the fridge gets he just hides in a fridge when everything's exploding, and then he survives. How the heck did he survive that? I mean, that scene's famous, but there are a bunch of other scenes. Aliens? Why do you have to put aliens? Why is that the thing that you get to at the end of this movie? I'm talking about this movie like it's the worst movie ever. No, I think there are some good things. I think there are some entertaining action sequences with green screen and CGI, but still entertaining with the fun score and stuff. And there are the score too is the best thing about this movie. And you can't fault Harrison Ford. I mean, he's great in this movie. He's as good as he's older, so he isn't as stunty in this movie. I don't know if that's not even a word, but still, he's the best performance in this movie. I don't think Cate Blanchett did a good job. I mean, she was just like generic villain with a funny accent. I mean, that is her accent, but it didn't work in this movie. And the villains in the first three, I mean, I'm thinking like they were really good. Well, at least they were good. They were solid villains. But here, there's just generic, really generic and bad. And, you know, the aliens, and then it's dumb. The story is dumb, and where it gets to in the end, it just gets dumb. And, you know, I'm not a fan of the actual last scene in the wedding. It's a very cruel, it's a very cruel way to end this movie. It's just like Shia La Beouf has his hat, and he's just like, Mutt has his hat, and he just puts it on. And then, you know, Indy comes in, and he just, like, takes it off, and he's like, it's just not it's not a good way to end this franchise, but it didn't end this franchise, which I'm grateful of. But it's also not a good way to end the movie. It's just not a solid, like, it's just cruel. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It left a bad taste in my mouth. And there are characters in this movie that are also really, really, really bad. I mean, you know, you have, what was his name? I don't even remember his name. I'm going to look it up. One sec. Mac, that was his name, Mac. Mac is such a boring character. He only does stuff for money, and that makes him one of the most boring characters in Indiana Jones history. Because, like, anyone, the person who gives him the most money, he's gonna instantly gravitate towards them, and he's gonna be on their side. And he's like, I just lied about being a double agent. I'm a triple agent. But then there's Harold Oxley, which I actually think is a really interesting character. Obviously, he doesn't talk at all. I mean, towards the end, he talks again, but you know, in the movie, he's sort of like possessed by the skull and looking at it the entire time. And, you know, he has to hold the skull, and he makes some really smart decisions. I thought his character was interesting, combined with the music. It was kind of creepy. That's not against the actor. I just think they made his character creepy. That was good. But then, again, the bad characters are unforgivable. Just an unforgivably bad CGI. It's worse than The Flash. It's worse than a bunch of movies that have had really bad CGI. And like the green screen, and then the colors. It just looks overblown, over bright, and it just doesn't look good. It's fake. It looks so fake. It doesn't look like an Indiana Jones movie. It's missing the big set pieces that we loved from the first 3 movies, and it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. So that was really unfortunate, and it's just, again, it's not the worst movie ever, but compared to the first 3, I was really disappointed, unfortunately. So before I give you guys my score, make sure to leave your thoughts on this movie down below. I don't care if you like this more than Raiders of the Lost Ark or Last Crusade. You can have your opinion, but if I see that, you don't be like not selfish. You can do this. I'm just saying, if I see one of those things where you say like, oh, this is the best Indiana Jones movie, I'm gonna go and puke for 5 minutes, but or turn that into hours. But I respect your opinion. You can have it. It's just me that's gonna get affected. But no one can tell you to change your opinion, because that's your opinion, and that's good. You should have that's why movies are good. That's why film criticism is fun, because everyone gets to have their own opinion. But again, that opinion I'm just not a fan of. You can still have it, right? Well, the score is still good, and there are some mildly entertaining action sequences. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull lacks the set pieces and the adventure feel of the original trilogy, and it turns into a bland and forgettable CGI mess. Let me know, again, your thoughts on this movie. Not a fan, but again, not the worst movie ever. But it's still just a big letdown from the original trilogy. I'm hoping Dial of Destiny is better than this. Obviously, we all are. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I'm rambling. Why am I still talking? See you soon. Bye.